Hello chess lovers! Just noticed that haven't published a game played by Garry Kasparov for a long time, and here is a quick victorious game played by the 13th World Chess Champion Garry Kasparov, where he beats English chess Grandmaster Nigel short in just 24 moves. This game was played in 2001 in Zurich, and Kasparov was playing with the white pieces opened up with e4. Short responded with French defense e6, d4, d5, knight d2. Kasparov is choosing the Tarrasch variation, against which short applies the open system c5. But after knight f3, instead of going for c takes d4 or knight c6, we have knight c6, and after e5, this leads to the closed system. Knight fd7, c3 and b6. As you know, in French defense, this light squared bishop is the most problematic piece for black. When black is putting his pawns on the light squares, these are restricting the movement of this light squared bishop. That's why by going for b6, short wants to play bishop a6 and get rid of this light squared bishop as soon as possible. But in here, Kasparov's response was very strong and he played bishop b5. Here is the idea. Now if you play a move like bishop a6, then white can play a4, and after bishop takes b5, a takes b5, white is getting a powerful wedge on b5, which is restricting the movement of the queenside knight. In our game, after bishop b5, we have bishop e7 by short, after which we have castling by both sides. Rook e1, a5, knight f1. This is the start of a long journey. Kasparov is going to bring his knight on h5 square, a very standard idea in French defense. This knight maneuver can be seen very often. Bishop a6, and here we go. a4 is on the board. Bishop takes b5. Well, probably this is premature and choosing a different strategy could have been better, but in our game we have bishop takes b5, and after a takes b5, white is taking under control these essential squares, thus imprisoning black knight on b8. Rook e8, knight g3, knight f8. It turns out that this is the only way of activating the queenside knight. Nigel short is freeing the d7 square for that knight. Meanwhile, we have knight h5, knight bd7, g3. White wants to go for h4 advancement later if needed. Can even play king g2, rook h1, knight g6 and h4, knight df8, king g2, and overlooking white's next threat, Nigel short played queen d7, which is losing on the spot. Instead, it was better to move back the knight on d7. Well guys, as you can see, black's position is cramped and finding a good strategy is very difficult. This is just a one-way game. Queen d7 was played in our game, and as we have reached the critical position, please pause the video and try to find the winning move for white. Ready? Using the vulnerability of this g7 square, Kasparov played an absolutely staggering bishop h6. This is how you should play. You should develop your piece and sacrifice it, right? That sounds beautiful. Now, already there is too much pressure on g7 and black is forced to accept the piece sacrifice. But I want you to see the difference between queen d7 and knight d7. For example, if the knight were on d7, then if you go for bishop h6, then black can simply win it. And if queen d2, then this f8 square is free. Black can put his bishop on f8, thus neutralizing white's attack. But in our game, after king g2, we have queen d7, and that bishop h6 simply demolishes black's king side. Queen d2. White has a simple plan to capture on h6 and checkmate black king. f5, and white captures and passant. Bishop d8, queen takes h6. Well, black could already resign, but short made a few more moves. Rook a7, this time the second knight is coming. Another desperate move, and after f7 check, rook takes f7, knight takes f7. Finally, we have a resignation. If king takes f7, then checkmate is coming. And if bishop f6 covering the g7 square, then simply knight takes f6, and again the game is over, guys. Well, I think for those who are playing e4 and are facing French defense very often, this game can be very useful. Especially pay attention to that bishop b5 a4 idea once again. That can be seen very often, and also the knight maneuver can also be very useful in your games. In the end, a chess puzzle for you, which is taken from a game played between Korchnoi and Zaitsev in 1962 in Yerevan. The task is to find that winning line for white. I will wait for your answer in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Here are more suggestions for you. Feel free to check them out as well. I will see you in my next video. Take care.